Tramp by Zeranski. The fluttering fronds of the palm tree cast a shade over them. Mark joined Sheila and Brad where they stood at the edge of the beach. The three of them gazed out at the pale, infinite flatness of the ocean beyond the island waves. They enjoyed the tropical heat and the startling brightness of the noon sun. Mark noticed the couple join hands. He smiled, reminiscing. They weren't that much younger than he, in their 30s. Their grip tightened with that sense of intimate familiarity. Mark was just a little over 40, but his wife Julia was younger. "Julia," he said in a whisper that was engulfed by the sound of the sluicing of the incoming waves. Younger by 10 years, Julia had just turned 29 when they married. They never made their second anniversary. She died less than a year ago. So, watching Sheila and Ben together, he reminisced, which seemed to be the right word, the better word, better than being morose. He missed Julia so very much. He sighed heavily. Sheila and Brad heard, and turned to him while he kicked off his sandals and stepped out of the shade onto the beach. "That's gonna be hot," Brad said and grinned. "No, it's coral sand." Mark took his first step. His foot hit the gritty surface with a shushing sound. "Coral doesn't get hot. When coral dies, this is what you get." He walked, kicking up arcs of white crystals, and said, "Coral sand is the bones of dead animals." "Really?" Sheila looked at him. "Really?" Mark smiled, and to confirm it, he continued to walk along the sand, paralleling the surf rolling out of the ocean. He glanced back, gave a wave. They were removing their sandals, but taking their time. Mark moved on, sensing that he'd be proceeding alone. Heading east, he thought, the sun striking him hard with its glaring intensity. He walked along, spotted a dead sand shark drifting up and back in the waves, which weren't as intense as before, but more leisurely, even thoughtful. How he got to this beach, this island, this place in the middle of a great expanse of watery nowhere, was in itself ridiculous. First, the thought of getting away, a vacation, which was really meant to be an escape, a sort of running away, had formed in his imagination as a romantic notion. But being alone wasn't romantic, so the romance became the desire for adventure, a controlled one, an adventure on a schedule, one with no surprises. But adventures didn't have punchlines. But this trip was a joke, a running gag that wouldn't stop. Mark browsed the internet, typing words. Nothing interesting showed, but advertisements that could appear on any billboard, on any highway. But soon enough, he learned that people could still buy passage on Tramp steamers. Just buy a ticket, get on a cargo ship in one port, and go wherever their ship went. But his ticket wasn't on a slow boat to China, but on a container ship from Sri Lanka to Madagascar. There was no reason for the trip. It was ludicrous. But after leaving from Kennedy to the West Coast and a number of connecting flights with 2 pieces of luggage, Mark found himself 6 days out with the ship captain telling him, Sheila and Brad, that the engine room fire was more of a problem than he'd originally thought. Sheila asked concerned questions. Mark laughed. Brad looked at him as if he were insane. The fire ended the voyage, and a U.S. Navy helicopter dispatched from an aircraft carrier somewhere transported them to an island where travel agents couldn't plan vacations. While they waited transportation off the island, a base commander told them that they could go anywhere they wanted. Just obey posted signs to restricted areas. Mark stepped around, avoiding the dead sand shark, and continued down the beach to a point where the shore jutted out in a 30-foot cliff, a gnarled spike of land. The beach narrowed at the base and curved round the other side. As he neared the point, the sand grew more stony, being populated by rocks worn smooth and round by waves and time. It was there that he stopped and sat at the foot of the cliff on a twisted tree trunk, held in place by a crumbling cliffside. He squinted at the sun, at the clear mat of sky and the flat line of horizon, running thin and motionless. The glare from the sky and the sun finally forced him to close his eyes. He saw the pink of the inside of his eyelids, and then a memory of the day Julia died, which was so strange because she was so vibrant and smiling, wearing her sundress out in the back garden. Through the window over the kitchen sink he watched her, pruning shears in hand, the morning sun behind her, casting an aura around her, her face a shadow. She must have smiled when raising a hand to show him something, a flower she had just snipped loose. Then she fell to the ground, a marionette torn from its strings. Somewhere deep in her brain, a blood vessel feeding her mind had said, "No more." He inhaled a deep, startled breath and opened his eyes. Waves lapped at his feet, rolling back, leaving a shallow pool and a green-shelled crab skittering on the pebbly bottom. The salted wind herded clouds high over his head, casting shadows like animal balloons, which morphed into rushing flocks of wild birds.